This week it was time for a new development update. Let's roll the intro and then let's look at the announcements, but also the news. So earlier this week there was a new development update. It was released on the 16th of January 2025 already. And besides nice screenshots, right, there's also now the feedback snapshot, which was one which we were waiting for already for a long time. Previously they were already created for Flight Simulator 2020, but they also now exist for Flight Simulator 2024. So first, a few things about these snapshots. So there are a few items which are under investigation. That simply means that Asobo and Microsoft are working on identifying the root cause and also fixing the issue, right? Or hopefully finding a fix for the issue. And this will likely change to, say, if, for example, a fix has been found and it has been incorporated in one of the updates. Then are the in-progress items, right? That's where Asobo and Microsoft are actively working towards a resolution, but it has not yet been assigned to a specific sim update, which means that they already found it, but then they need to decide, okay, when do we have time to implement this bug fix or resolution into a final sim update? The items listed on the bug report and wishlist are the top 24 items, right? So it's not, I would say, everything which everybody reported, because there are far more things which we likely have reported, but these are the top 24 items which have been voted. So that means that you can also influence this, the wish list as well as the bug report, and that's due to the communities, right? In the communities, which you will find over here, you can find those bugs and items, and then you can upvote those items. So if you think that they should prioritize something, then use the upvote ability to make them aware of an issue or to prioritize the issue, right? So they also mentioned that they do not present everything the dev team is working on. Of course not, because they also have their own priority list likely. And sim update number 1 and 2 will include other fixes and improvements which are not listed in this top 24. The other thing which has been announced is that there will be a public beta version of sim update number 1 for Flight Simulator 2024 prior to its full release. Let's hope they've learned from the past and they are, I would say, taking a little bit more time to test this update. And the good thing is that it will be available for almost every platform, right? The Microsoft Store, the Steam version, as well as the Xbox Series X and S, right? So both Xboxes which are available, so that you can test it. If you already participated in prior beta versions, then there's no need to subscribe, because then you will get it automatically. However, there will be an option to manually opt in to receive the pre-release test builds, and likely that will be announced somewhere soonish, because it's not very clear on when that latest sim update will be there. The good news is that you can keep track of when these updates are available. That can either be done by following them on Facebook, on Threads, or Twitter. Threads, I think, is a new platform which they're working on. Twitter is likely one, I would say, which you follow already. But there's also the forums, right? So this is the forum where you can see all the announcements being displayed here. Unfortunately, sim update number 1 isn't announced here yet, but I do expect it to be somewhere maybe next week or maybe the week after. Let's see. In addition to that, there's the developer livestream. You can now submit questions to the panel, right? Jörg, Seb, and Marshall to ask questions. And this is where we also below that find the real feedback snapshot. So this is the feedback snapshot. So these are the bugs which are reported, and then based on that, they are working on fixes. And you can see that several of them are still under investigation. I would say almost everything, right? So, for example, the ground textures are blurry, LOD systems are too aggressive, and loss of detail is there. But also the flap speeds in multiple aircrafts are low, causing deduction of points in career. That's also one I'm facing myself. As well as the mouse click spots stop working in virtual reality when returning from the menu. So this is one specifically for virtual reality. The control axes are not responding, also something which I encountered. But besides that, there are some other things like career mode. There are no night missions available. You can only fly during the daylight. But what about flying in the night, right? To make it more realistic. That's not yet there, but hopefully they are working on something. Then the rain effect on the windshield, non-existent, right? There's no rain effect, which was in Flight Simulator 2020 the case. And there's the aircraft external lights barely visible during daytime, which means that if you switch on the lights, you can't see them when you're, I would say, flying during the daylight. Last one is the charter service VIP, missions not populating in career mode. I do believe that I saw some fixes around that already, but likely it hasn't been fixed completely. Then there are of course the things which are in progress, like the Flight Simulator 2024 airport and helipad issue tracker, right? I do think it's a large one, to be honest. And this more like, okay, hey, which issues are expected, between brackets, or experienced when using these airport or helipads? Likely they are building some kind of list, but it can imagine that it can be pretty extensive. Then also the helicopter jumps in and out ground effect when near raised platforms is being fixed or being in progress, sorry. And then the PC-12 pressurization oxygen system broken. It's in progress and will be part of sim update number 2. But what are the other things which are fixed in sim update number 2? Well, first of all, the toolbar missing in the VR is planned for sim update number 2, as well as the non-functioning electronic flight bag in virtual reality mode, also part of sim update number 2. And the frames per second performance for the VRAM bug, which a lot of people are reporting, is what they also plan to be fixed in sim update number 2. But of course, first we get sim update number 1. Well, what's been fixed in that one? Well, the live weather, not separate from date, that is selected, as well as the mouse free look axis crosstalk overly sensitive. This one a lot of people are reporting, and likely that's why they prioritized it. Besides that, there's the no engine or cockpit sounds in multiple Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 instances in the audio mixer. This is also planned to be fixed in Flight Simulator 2024. So based on this list, there are at least 3 fixes, which will be part of sim update number 1, and 1, 2, 3, 4 issues in sim update number 2. But as mentioned already, this is not the full list because they're also working on other things, right? Which they mentioned already in their text. In addition to that, there's the wish list. So things which are not there yet, but which we do want to have. In that case, there's the wish list, and that's always, let's say, available. In this case, what they did is they combined the 2020 version and 2024 version, which let's say is a little bit, we'd say, weird, because you can see that the majority of the issues is still for 2020. Some of them are applicable to all, and some of them are only applicable to 2024. If we focus on the all items and the 2024 items, we can see that there's an implement the weather and terrain APIs. This was already long on the list and was already a lot of requests which came out from to say implement the weather and terrain APIs so that they can be influenced. The other thing is the request for unencryption, fully downloadability of the default aircrafts. And this was explained in one of the previous developer webcasts. Previously, those older aircrafts in Flight Simulator 2020 were available and could be, I would say, kind of used to learn from by the developers. But from Flight Simulator 2024 onwards, they decided to encrypt all those new aircrafts, which makes it impossible for third-party developers to learn from the default aircrafts. In addition to that, there's the make cloud streaming optional, right? That was one of the requests, where a lot of people say, hey, that cloud streaming is nice, but hey, can't I simply fly without having the cloud streaming and simply cache everything locally? But this one looks like to be, I would say, a very long item, right? I don't expect this one to be, say, fixed pretty soonish, due to the fact that, as already explained by the team, is there's so much data, you won't be even able to cache it locally completely, right? Because there's so much content in it. Then jumping down the list, we find the start flight without walkaround, right? That's one of the questions which were there. So you want to start a flight without a walkaround. I do think it's available, but then you need to start on the runway, but then something else. Likely they're referring to something else. And then if we look at the other 2024 items, it's not a lot, because there are some all items. And as all items, again, as mentioned already, are applicable to both 2020 and 2024. Shared cockpit It's under investigation. I think there's a beta version already in Flight Simulator 2024 for this. And there's the enhanced API to access all the aircraft states and trigger all cockpit functions. This has to do with, for example, if you're using Stream Deck or maybe some more advanced systems to control the aircraft. Currently, you can't control everything, and this is likely what they are wanting to have. Then remove the ground vehicles from active taxiways. Yeah, that's makes sense, right? Sometimes you see those vehicles just almost throwing their vehicle in front of your aircraft, and this results in nasty situations. So this will be also in an investigation, as well as the classic flyby views and tower views back, please. This one is already on the list for a very long time, and for those who played Flight Simulator for a very long time, you remember those views, right? The flyby view and the tower view, where you could look from the tower to the aircraft. Really cool, and it still is missing. Besides that, there are some other old items. The update, the cities, airports in South Korea. So maybe we will see either a city update or maybe a world update in that part of the world, as well as the force feedback support. Force feedback, right? Having that, really feeling on the joystick, getting that feedback, right? For example, if you're driving over grass, where you would feel the joystick giving you feedback, like trilling, for example. Then this would be, which is something which they requested already, also for a long time. Then the fixed cloud density and any resulting effect, the wing fade, that's a request. And the last one is the realistic dangerous weather, right? Physics simulation, especially that physics simulation likely is, a challenge. In addition to that, there also are of course some things for 2020, like the world update Brazil, but that's already on the roadmap. Disappointing mountain terrain in the Alps and many other zones, it's under investigation. The real-world taxiways, the aircraft-specific control profiles. Well, this one is, of course, part of Flight Simulator 2024, but not for 2020, so maybe they are backporting it, but I would doubt. And there's the improved AI system supported by AIG. Further down the line, we find the access to the flight planners without leaving the current flight, as well as seasons, which are part of Flight Simulator 2024, are requested for 2020, as well as the trains which are missing. If you thought that was everything for 2020, no, there's more. For example, the improved AI traffic, the make the cloud the replay function missing. Right, that was initially part of the beta version, but eventually they removed it, if I'm correct. But maybe you can look at a third-party solution, because there are multiple third-party solutions which offer this capability. Look at Flight Simulator 2, and there you will find multiple of them. And last one, open up the weather system, right access to third-party developers. That one is, I would say, almost similar to this one, I do expect. So a lot of cool things which are on the roadmap, but I would say they're not there yet. The only two items which are in progress are the world update, as we know, as well as the scenery gateway system, the World Hub. That one was available last year, but they pulled the plug for now. So let's see if it comes back. So here is this video where we looked at both the bugs and the wish list, which is part of the feedback snapshots which have been shared by the team, as well as some news about Sim Update number 1 and Sim Update number 2. Hopefully you liked this video. If you liked it, then consider to use the like button, and hope to see you back next time.